Nearly 1 million people all around the world are diagnosed with a mental illness, yet they and many more are suffering in silence because they fear the stigma associated with psychiatric disorders, according to a global report. The report from researchers in 40 countries around the world has been released to coincide with World Mental Health Day, which is marked today. Metro Globe's Network's Sophie Al-Mahmoud has the story, narrated by brilliant Shahira.
According to a new report, which will be discussed at a meeting of the World Health Organization in Geneva today, there is not any setting in any country where people do not fear stigma and prejudice because they have a mental health illness. An illness which is not easily seen is often too easily dismissed, according to mental health charities and researchers. The report, which is published in the Lancet medical journal, calls for action to end what they say is stigma and discrimination against people with mental health condition worldwide. It's called worse than the condition itself because people suffering with mental illness told researchers their silence and fear of discovery and the stigma which will be attached to them was way worse than suffering in silence.
So it's a paradox. Why should we be so reluctant to talk about this? Well, because many of the beliefs that people have are wrong. For example, they connect mental illness with violence in an unfair way. For example, they think that people who have a mental health problem are unreliable, are not good partners in a marriage, or not good workmates. So a lot of the problem is the wrong knowledge people have about mental illness.
More mental health charities are acknowledging the damage inflicted on people. Time to Change Wales is urging people to become more responsive to others who may have psychiatric illnesses.
This year, across the world, are about 970 million people in those categories. About a third have depression, about a third have anxiety, and then there are a range of other conditions. For example, about 1% of all the population across our lifetimes will have schizophrenia. About 0.5% of all of us will have bipolar disorder. So they're enormously common.
According to the Lancet report of the COVID-19 pandemic, highlighted an urgent mental health problems. It estimates there was a 25% rise in the prevalence of depression and anxiety in the first year of the pandemic.
But if you have a mental illness which has an effect on the way that you think and that you believe things, it's much harder to find the capacity and the confidence to describe well to somebody what it is you're experiencing. And that's why you begin to have that prejudice and that misunderstanding and that tension that exists in families, amongst employees, and in every walk of life, really.
In some countries, it carries a cultural stigma. In others, it can affect a person's livelihood. The report claims mental health conditions and poverty are especially destructive in low and middle-income countries.